Hey folks, unfortunately, I don't have another Prince of the Apocalypse um, video ready yet because of summer activities. People have been gone, including myself. I went to Origins, got to run some Runequest, and that's what this new series of videos is all about. Runequest, role-playing, and Glorantha. That was the quick start that came out on Free RPG Day that we ran for Origins. Looks like I may actually be able to go to Gen Con, try it for Chaosium there as well. I've been trying to hook up with a game company in Norfolk who's doing tabletop games at JexCon in Fredericksburg to try and run a couple of sessions of RuneQuest. The quick start there as well, but while I was gone at Origins, I didn't get any emails back, just the one email initially where it said, yeah, we're interested. So once I got back, unfortunately, I immediately took off afterwards we went to Harper's Ferry, my wife and I, for our 25th wedding anniversary. So I was gone for another week, but again, no emails. So when I got back from that, I went ahead and shot Steve down there a couple of emails. One directly to him saying, "Hey, back. Sorry, gone for a week, but I haven't seen anything as JexCon starts, next weekend. Can we still pull this off?" And then I shot another one to him, plus the two store emails, saying essentially the same thing. Hey, JexCon is this weekend, next weekend. Do we have time to pull this off? I'm still interested. We'll see what happens. It'd be nice to be able to run a couple more games. At Gen Con at Origins, I only had, well, I was scheduled to play 2 to 6 every day, plus a second session either in the morning or in the evening. Plus, I was covering a couple of 1 hour combat demo days, or scenarios, stealing a jewel. But we had real poor turnout for that. Part of it was we moved rooms, and so that got confusing for the players, I know. But I did get to run 2 tables. There was one other GM who ran as well. I'm not sure how many tables he had, but he had more than the two. And we would discuss things in between sessions and before and after the day and that kind of thing. Also got a chance to talk. Well, he also ran some of the 1 hour ones, and then Todd from Chaosium ran the rest of the 1 hour combat demos. And we talked a little bit back and forth about experience of the players, especially on the 1 hour demo, which for Origins will be 2 hours. It's really helpful, give you time to actually do some stuff. But it's just one combat scenario, possibly two, depending on how things go. And but experimenting with the creature there. There's stuff that happens. There's a thief guy that's a PC. And it's hard for him to get through the armor and stuff, and so it doesn't make it too hard. But then there's an initiate of Hamacht, the god of war and death, and if you have him do his stuff, he just slices up the bad guy. So we were discussing, do we make it too easy, do we make it too hard, that kind of thing. And the first thing I thought of is, well, they use because it's a statue, like a rock golem, they use the gargoyle as a baseline creature. It's got 6 arms, 2 of which have scimitars. So the first thing I would do is, okay, so he's got 6 arms. If he drops the scimitar, he loses use of one of those arms. Excuse me. It's going to drop one of the other items. Got a couple of flowers, a couple of bowls of water that's holding. Either it's going to drop those, or it's part of the statue and it can't. It's part of the statue and can't, then it simply uses, fist or club or whatever and continues to attack. So it still gets 2 attacks every round. It's just it won't necessarily be a scimitar. And then, it works its way down until it's only got, no arms left, kind of thing. It can no longer attack. Oh, I suppose it could kick. Not quite Monty Python's Black Knight at the bridge, but still. That kind of concept. With Runequest, and you've got area hit locations and area hit points, you can lose useful limbs and still be alive. So we'll see how that runs up. But the first thing I thought of after the second thing I thought of is this is not a gargoyle. It is, a statue that's dedicated to a deity. It's got to have some kind of occult spirit imbued in it. And so that's going to give it intelligence and power, and it's going to have spells, and it's going to be able to do a lot of stuff. Be focused on the what the cult actually uses rather than generic power PC kind of stuff. But still, it's got those options. It can do those things. Another thing about Runequest, Roleplaying, and Glorantha, and I'm on Twitter and on Facebook and on YouTube, obviously. And I've been noticing reviews of Roleplaying and Glorantha. So I've been pushing those out, and I've been, not starting a revolution, but there is a huge Dungeons and Dragons community out there, of which I'm a part. I play D&D. But the one thing that drew me to RuneQuest was the lack of levels and classes. You can be whatever you want to be, and you're going to be as good at what you do based upon what you do. So I've had that conflict almost my entire role-playing career. I started out playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I played basic Dungeons and Dragons, and then my brother introduced me to the Fantasy Trip, which really got me into the tactical side of combat for role-playing. And then I found RuneQuest. So my own personal world, homebrew if you want to call it that, it's been based pretty much on RuneQuest 3, which was produced by Avalon Hill. But I steal and pick and acquire from different game systems that I've run into, and I've got a whole slew of different things I've touched. I specifically like Chaosium system because they all have the same baseline, so you can integrate bits and pieces of Pendragon, Call of Cthulhu, Stormbringer, which is now Elric. I had to change the name for some reason. And you can pull all those different kinds of things to have this huge array of tools to modify your game and to put different flavor into it. That's saying RuneQuest Roleplaying Glorantha is based upon the RuneQuest 2 system. Fairly simple, fairly clean, based upon stats and skills. So it's a percentile base. There's a handful of tweaks, as we called it back in the day, that we do this system right off the bat. And one of them is rolling percentile dice and adding, give it a little complicated. So it's just, I changed to a D20. Everybody knows how to roll a D20, and you can add 1, 2, and 3 instead of adding 5, 10, or 15. And so that's one of the first things I do to change it. Another thing that I've done to change it is the hit locations. I've expanded it so it's based upon what actual armor look like. If you wear a hauberk, upper arms, chest, abdomen, lower legs, or pardon me, upper legs. You've got Van Bases and Greaves that covers your lower arms and elbows and your lower legs and your knees, so that covers you up essentially. But I've always had a problem with how RuneQuest and their area location has treated the abdomen, because if you wear just a kiras, the classic Greek body armor, it covers your abdomen. It's designed to do that because that's soft tissue down there. It rounds down and covers all those internal organs that don't have the ribs that protect. And so a cuirass would cover both the abdomen and the thorax. Well, the thorax and the abdomen. Rather, in the book currently, it just covers the abdomen. If you wear a skirt, that would cover the abdomen, but the skirt doesn't cover the abdomen. I mean, it might cover your groin, which it does, and your hips, but it's upper legs primarily protection. So I made an adjustment to the hit locations, dividing the arms and legs between upper and lower. Still keep the same numbers. I just divide odd and even as left and right. Keeps it simpler that way. I have played Harn. My buddy Ed runs that, and Harn is very, very detailed for combat. And it gets down to things like hitting in the hand or the left eye and that kind of stuff. I don't need to be that detailed, but I used that. I took those percentages and broke them down, and it came out pretty even for what I had just breaking out the D20 on the location. So I'll keep it that. Keep it simple. So you roll a D20 to hit, D20 for location, and you roll damage. Not too bad. For Origins, one of the first things I did is I printed out the adventure module so that I could put notes on there and color code some stuff and highlight, where's a skill roll need to be done, where's a combat encounter going to come if you do this or that. Excuse me. So I did that kind of stuff. And I had to change a few things. The scenario starts out, you've been on the road for 2 days chasing these raiders who have stolen your cattle. But then it goes back and talks about how you can go into, if anybody decides to go and check out the location of the ambush first, there's a chance that they'll find tracks and be able to identify who actually killed the herders. And that's another big thing about this thing, the fact that they killed the herders instead of just tying them up or whatever. They're herders, they're not warriors. And there's this whole social expectation to the whole world that I really like. It doesn't make sense. Are you going to really do that? Or are you going to rob the bank? What's the rest of the community going to do if you rob the bank, or if you kill the farmer, or if you do all these things that a lot of fancy role-playing games let you do because people want to do things they wouldn't really do in real life. In real life, you don't go and kill the policeman. You don't. So would it be interesting to go and role-play doing that? I suppose. I've got my own philosophical issue with that. Won't go into that here. But so I start out. You've been called together by the clan's wife, the clan chieftain's wife. There was a raid last night. They murdered the herders. One of them was left for dead. She's still alive. We brought her back this morning. We've done healing on her. She's resting in her hut. I need you to go and track these guys down. I need you to get retribution. I need you to do. There's one other thing. It's like three quest sheets, said John. They're all tied together. So you got this option. At this point, do you go talk to the girl? Do you go check out the site? You can do either. You can do both. And that way, a lot of the background material that's listed is stuff that, some of you still have to tell, like, yes, the clan chieftain's wife is in charge because the clan and a lot of the landowners and rich people and most of the guard have gone off to this celebration at the Sun Hotel. Okay, roger that. You can't really role play that out. Oh, I suppose maybe you could. But we're limited to 4 hours. So some of this stuff I do feed to them, but other stuff like what the girl knows and what she saw and all this kind of stuff, I let them role play that out. And they seem to like that. That went pretty well. For my first session, though, I want to make sure they knew the rules. I just was really briefly running over the rules, and they obviously got bored. I could tell that. And the guy said, "Hey, let's just get the adventure going. We'll cover the rules as we encounter them." And I go, "Duh, of course we should do that." Because a lot of it is just role playing, and role playing, everybody who wants to role play, they can do that. We've got 6 characters, PCs. I made little pawns for them. That was fun. I just lifted a picture up right out of the booklet, and then printing them off in cardstock and laminating them, and then gluing them to the basis. That's it was pretty cool. But I was really excited about this, that I made pawns for every game I was supposed to run, so that if the players wanted, they could take their character sheet and their pawn home with them. But a couple of people took character sheets, and that wasn't an issue because Chaos didn't print out character sheets for every round. But don't be bothered to take the pawns. So I've got I got a huge list of all these pawns. What am I going to do with them? I don't know. Maybe I'll go ahead and bring extras to JexCon and to Origins and see if anybody wants to keep their own kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it again. The process of transporting them back and forth, though, some of the bases have come off. It's just, hot glue is not an issue. So how the characters get started, role playing in the village. What are you going to do? This is what happened last night, kind of thing. And then they take off to go follow. You don't have to do a lot of travel time stuff. You travel for a couple of days, you get to this spot, make these rolls, these kind of things happen. You have a chance to run into this guy. Most of the time they didn't. Continue to follow the tracks. It rains that night. Tracks get hard to find. You run into animals that are chasing down a loose cow. You can fight them off, try and save the cow. Continue on. There's some stuff that may happen with the big bad guy, and you get to the ruins where the cattle are held, though you don't know that. And where the big bad guy is, you can surmise that. And then there's other bad guys that are there too. So there's a handful of combat can occur. Doesn't always happen that way. I don't want to go into too much detail in case you want to play it. And I don't want to give it away necessarily. Maybe later on I'll talk some more about it. But currently my plan was to just discuss, what I did at Origins. We played my first table. I only had 2 players. I mean, that's really short if you're dealing with combat. They got involved with some combat at the end where one of the players kept going down. He went negative like twice, but the other player was up, and he actually had potions of healing instead of the healing spells. If you ever played Runequest, pretty much everybody's got healing 1 or healing 2, so they can heal spots and that kind of thing. But they managed to work that out. The second group, I had a fairly full table, including one guy who had played Runequest before, and it was kind of cool because there's some religious connotations, because Glorantha is very religious, cult oriented. The world's full of gods are real. They deal with people and they use people to manipulate what's going on, and they run into a well, she's called an earth demon, but she's sort of like a demigod. But she's there looking for worshippers, and offhand, a lot of the guys that want to kill it, but you don't really need to. I mean, you can. It's possible. It's hard, but it's possible. But it was kind of cool because the guy who played RuneQuest before was playing the Earth Goddess, and so when they started discussing about killing her, I leaned over to him and say, "You don't want to kill her. She's an Earth Goddess. She's part of not part of your pantheon, but she would support your pantheon." And so he dove right into playing that. No, guys, we can't kill her. She's an Earth Goddess. I can use her. She can keep it. She can help us. She can protect this land. All that kind of. It's great. It was really, really a lot of fun getting him to role play into what he was doing. I had another player who got enthralled by the bad guy. Don't hurt me. Get more cattle. Bring more cattle. Make sacrifices to me. Give me strength. Feed me. That kind of stuff was great because he dug right into that as well. One of the fun things that I got to do was there's a part where they're talking with the goddess demon idol thing, where she speaks. She speaks in Earth speech at first, and then she speaks in old Thealan, and then finally she speaks in Hortling. And everybody in the party speaks Hortling. There are a couple of PCs who speak Earth speech, and none of them speak Thealan. They can read Thealan, and there's some scribblings on the walls and stuff where they can have a chance to read and stuff and get clues. And so I took this little speech she has, and I put it into Google Translate for a couple different languages. So I'm actually speaking, it's anglicized Norwegian for the Earth speech, and anglicized Greek for the old Thealan. But I get there and I speak it out for them. We don't understand any of this. And I asked, does anybody speak Earth speech? That kind of thing. That was kind of fun, being able to speak those different languages to give a flavor that, the world is full of languages and you may not always understand them. So that was fun. A couple of guys have got cavalry animals, and so they're mowing down stuff. They just mow down stuff. It's funny. Most of the combat was fairly quick. There's a couple of creatures that, are unique. So I couldn't figure out why they couldn't kill it. But eventually they just went away. But that's it for the missing cattle scenario. I didn't get to run stealing the gem because, again, either because of the room number changes or lack of interest, because Origins is really board game oriented, although there were tons of Cthulhu folks up there. And since Chaos mix both Cthulhu and Runequest, we were all in the same area, so we had lots of tables playing Cthulhu around us. But there was 2 guys who wanted to play the 1 hour combat quick start thing, and so I played with them just to give them some support, that kind of thing. And that was a lot of fun. But it gave me a lot of ideas, as I mentioned earlier, with the cult spirit, being able to cast spells, that kind of thing, make yourself tougher. It was really interesting. I had a guy who was a bowman, essentially, but they're inside a temple, and the thing comes into life and it starts to attack. Well, he's short range. He's not going to be able to do much, so he steps to the doorway fires a couple of arrows, and then steps out because it starts to charge. Well, fires a couple of arrows. One of them was a crit. And criticals in Runequest ignore armor, and they do like max damage plus roll damage, so it does a whole lot of damage. And since Runequest is, limb and body part oriented, you don't really need to do a whole lot of damage to actually hurt something. And I ended up hurting her in the arm pretty bad, so she turned to charge after me. So I ran out of the courtyard, was ready to fire a couple of arrows, but somebody else engaged her inside. So I came back inside, and by that time the other guy had cornered her and was attacking. She was chasing somebody who had the gem and that kind of stuff. But it was a lot of fun to play. But that's the quick start for role-playing in Glorantha. Free RPG day. If you didn't get it, it costs like $10. If you go to the Chaosium website, you go July 1st, so by now you can order it, and they'll send you a PDF copy as well. So you get a hard copy that costs you $10 plus the PDF. So you can do things like this. My local game store on the 15th is having an RPG meet and greet. So I'm planning on going down there and bringing my RuneQuest Glorantha stuff to see if I can't jam some stuff. I'm trying to start a revolution, the RuneQuest revolution. And that gave me the initiative to go ahead and make this video. One other thing, while I was at Origins, I went ahead and picked up the 2-volume guide to Glorantha. Beautiful artwork, I love it. And it's kind of a hefty price, but it's a huge amount of information. And on the basic role-playing website, they've got a blog where they're doing, the guide to Glorantha 1 week at a time kind of thing. The third starts the second week, which is pages 18 to, I believe, 38, which is cultures. That includes the Orlanthi. Orlanthi are the main cultural type for the RuneQuest game itself, although the game expands the entire world, so you've got all kinds of different cultures you can use. For my world, I don't run Glorantha as Glorantha. I run it on Ancient Earth. The Lunar Empire, which are the bad guys, are my Romans. The Orlanthi, the Satyr Kingdom, and Tarsharite kingdoms are all part of Greece. The Sun Kingdoms, guys who worship the sun god Yelm, they're all Northern Africa and the Middle East kind of thing. And I just transplanted that because I incorporate actual history into the games we're playing. The Romans eventually take over Greece, right? So there's this conflict. There's this footprint at first where they've taken over part of the country, and they end up taking over. In Glorantha, they took over Sartor. So I put these things together. The elf woods, the elf seed, that kind of stuff. I've got places where I put that, and because that way I feel comfortable, and I can, from that point, I can improv all kinds of stuff because I've got education in ancient medieval history, so I can put that to use with my game plan. But I've been rambling for a bit, so I'm sorry. But I plan on, if I go to JexCon, I'm going to do a feedback video on RuneQuest Role-Playing Glorantha there. It looks like I'm going to go to Gen Con. We're just trying to figure out costs and transportation, that kind of thing. It looks like I'll just end up taking the bus because renting a car and parking is going to cost way too much. And so I'll do some videos on that as well. It looks like right now all of our games are sold out, and we've got like 3 a day just for RuneQuest Role-Playing in Glorantha. Plus there's the whole stealing a gem scenario, which they've boosted up to 2 hours. And then of course there's all the Call of Cthulhu stuff, which I'm interested in, I like, but it's just not my thing. RuneQuest is my thing. So go buy it, play it, have fun, get dirty and real. Ciao.